Good morning, class. It is 4:21. It's a Tuesday. We are here with another quick lecture. Won't be too long today. Going over a couple of things before we begin today's lesson, and that, of course, is the announcements. So grades are up. It kind of means that we are 100% full go from here on out. Grades can go up, grades can go down. If you didn't listen to my in-depth explanation of grades yesterday on the YouTube video, please do that. But basically, to summarize it really quickly, yes, your grade can go up if you are doing work. In fact, it probably has gone up substantially if you have done all the work assigned to you. Right now, your grade has not lowered. Nobody's grade has lowered yet, all right? We have to do one thing as teachers. We have to find out if you are able to do the work and are choosing not to do it, or if you are unable to access the internet, your iPad's broken, family members are sick, stuff like that. Okay, that's actually pretty hard to do on our end. It's very easy to have a student say, "Oh yeah, I couldn't get on because of my internet," and this whole time it's been absolutely fine. So I'm going to make it pretty simple. This is a difficult thing to try to do, and I'm going to try to make it as simple as possible. Basically, if you're communicating with me in some form or another, whether it be you call the school and you leave the school a message, you have access to a phone. So that would be like the most basic way. If you have mobile service, you can use the Remind app or send me an email on Google Classroom or even email me directly in case you forgot what that was. My La Habra schools. Okay, and I will get that. If I don't hear from you anyway, shape or form, from April 6th, which is basically the starting point of our distance learning, until the end of the year, I will assume that you've had access to everything and you chose not to do the work, which will result in what we're calling an incomplete, okay? And that means that will stay there. You chose not to do the work. It is what it is. Everybody will see that going forward. It's irreplaceable. You can't change that, okay? If you had a D or an F before that and you still continue not to talk to me, you have no issues, it's going to stay a D or an F. If you are doing the work, honestly, if you turn in the work, I'm giving full credit out really to anybody at least trying their best, okay? So if you're turning in work, you can turn a D or an F into an A in the next couple months. And we don't even have a couple months. We have a month and a half. You can do that. There's no doubt in my mind. So if you're watching this video, go back, look at the work, go into Aries. Right now, nobody's grade has been hurt because if you didn't do the work, it's just blank. I didn't put a 0 in there. It's not missing. It's just blank. However, that's only going to stay that way for another week or so. I think probably the end of next week, I will start to count everybody that has not contacted me and give them zeros for the work they have not done. I think that's fair. And then at that point, grades will start to lower. Right now, if I lowered the grades like I normally did, I think a lot of people will be pretty shocked because there is a lot of people that are just picking and choosing the assignments they want to do. Fine. I can't control that. However, at a certain point, you will start losing points for these assignments. It's going to be the end of next week. Okay, so what's going to end up happening going forward is basically each week I'm going to update your grades on Sunday night. I'm going to update them, and then you can check them Sunday or Monday morning. And they'll be for that whole week. And I'll throw it all in there because on my end, I actually have to record who has shown evidence of learning on a document that goes to the district. So that number will be, pretty. I have to give accurate numbers for that. So that I have to do that every week now. So on Sunday, I will do that, and you can get your updated grades. Okay, and so you'll have one more week kind of figuring things out, and then after that, it's going to start lowering grades if I don't hear from you and you don't do any of the work. Now, good news is, hey, late work, due dates, all that stuff, I'm not worried about. Okay, if you do the work at any point, I'm going to give you credit for you. Okay, it's hard for us to all be on the same page with this. So if you do the work at any point, turn it in, I'm going to give you the full credit that you would have gotten no matter when you've turned it in. Okay, so no more half credit. That means reading logs, DLPs, any sort of stuff that you've been doing. You want to turn it in all at once, go for it. Okay, you'll get full credit. I just need it in. All right, so that's that. Check your grades. I texted a bunch of people that I have not heard from, and their grades, if I had lowered them like they should, they would have been a disaster. We're talking like B's to F's, A's to D's, stuff like that. That's what would have happened. Mostly the students that were earning A's, most of those students are continuing to do the work, which is awesome. I think next video I'll do a couple of shout outs to some outstanding students. A few select students haven't missed a single assignment, which is completely amazing and awesome. Finally, one last thing about grades. I'm going to do a monthly assessment. So at the end of April, I'm going to go back in there. If you've completed 4 lessons for the month of April, then you'll get full credit. And if you haven't, then it'll be, if you do 3 out of 4, you'll get 75%. If you do 2 out of 4, you'll get 50, et cetera, et cetera. So I know iReady can be difficult. And if you're having problems with that, let me know. But I don't want to put a due date on that. It's just by the end of the month, you got to have that done. And then we'll reset with May. And then that'll be it. So you'll have basically 2 months of iReady, 4 lessons to complete. Got to do them by the end of the month. Okay, so today is 4/21. You have 9 days left to do that. Remember, 30 days in April. All right, let's get started with today's lesson. You have DLP number 4. So go ahead and pause the video and take care of that. If you want to go to slideshow, please. Okay. And let's go over the corrections now. Okay, it'll be raining hard for the next 2 days, so be sure to bring an umbrella every day. All right, so if you want to contract it will, you do need an apostrophe there after you capitalize it, of course. So it'll be raining hard for the next 2 days. So this is the incorrect 2. You need TWO. Okay. It will be raining hard. So hard is an adjective. Raining is a verb. We would say hard rain. So we want to use an adverb when it comes to hard. So we could do something like it'll be raining heavily, something like that. That'll match a little bit better. So it'll be raining heavily for the next 2 days. So be sure to bring an umbrella. We need an N there. Every day, period. Okay. Number 2, on Saturday, we need to capitalize the O and on. Whoa, that's an I. On Saturday, we need to capitalize. On Saturday, however, you'll need to put a comma here and a comma here. The sun will be out and will be extremely hot. Now, if you leave this, you kind of have a Captain Obvious moment here because the sun will be out and will be extremely hot. Yes, the sun is hot. This is what happens. So what you are talking about, though, is the weather, right? So the sun will be out and it will be extremely hot. Yeah, no, obviously the sun is hot. So you would say something like, if you want to make sure that you're changing that, and the weather will be extremely hot. Okay, and a period at the end. All right, because here the sun will be out and it will be extremely hot. I know if you say that, you probably know what the person means, like the weather is going to be hot. But in terms of verb agreement, you were talking about the sun, that it will be out. And what you want to say is that the weather will be extremely hot. So temperatures will be extremely high or something like that. So the weather will be extremely hot. That will work. Okay, so there's your DLP. Next is 20 minutes of reading. We are doing reading log number 4. It's a subjective summary. So please give your opinion on what you're reading for 20 pages. Please read 20 pages. You'll have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and we'll turn that in on Friday. Okay, DLPs, I need them on the website. It's too hard to keep track on emails. So if you plan on just emailing me your DLPs, I may or may not see it. If you want to be absolutely sure, go to Google Classroom and submit it there. If you're having issues with it, if you don't know how to take a picture and submit it online, text me individually on Remind and I can walk you through it. It's very simple. I guess that's about it, unless you want to type it up and then put it on a Google Doc, but those are the two ways. All right. Today we are working on Amplify Subunit 2, Lesson 5. Let's go ahead and head over there. Vocab, okay? Again, I have kind of eliminated the vocab that we do normally, and that is because it just wasn't working out. So this is really the only vocab practice we have, besides perhaps iReady, if you want to consider iReady some vocab. So be sure you do this. I actually added this to the grade book. And again, all I'm going to do is each week I'm going to click, so it'll be the start 420 to 424. Then I will see if you've logged on and attempted your vocabulary. And if you have, you'll get full points. And if you haven't, you'll get 0 points. So just open the vocabulary app and try your best in there. 5 minutes, that's all. You could time it. Do 5 minutes of it, that's it. And then that'll be your vocab, okay? Because I had a lot of people just kind of skip that over. And if it's giving you problems or something, text me, let me know, and we can work out another alternative assignment. But I do need some vocab being done on a daily basis, okay? Today, if you haven't finished the solo from yesterday, I would pause the video and do that now. Otherwise, you'll be a little bit lost. But what we'll do is we'll pick up from where the solo left off. All right. So take a look at this line here, this idea of insanity versus sane, being completely normal and of rational thought. Now, we're not taking this on a, oh, you're so crazy. Oh, you're insane. Can't believe you did that. We're talking about a physical insanity where something is literally wrong with the brain versus something is not wrong with the brain. And that'll make more sense when we go forward here. There is a legal understanding of this term, insanity, and you may have heard of this before in any of the, you see it a lot in serial killers or very grotesque murders where it's hard for us to fathom or understand why somebody would do an outrageous act like that. And sometimes the lawyer will plead insanity. And there are special circumstances that will allow somebody to say, that person was not of sound reasoning. They did something, but it was not their true intention. For instance, they were hallucinating, they were hearing voices, those types of things are, you can actually plead insanity in the court of law. It's difficult to do and doesn't get you off the hook or anything. It's not like you get to go home after you plead insanity. Instead of going to jail, you go to a mental institution. Good luck knowing which one's better. I don't know. I don't want to have a choice. I don't ever want to have that choice. But it is kind of a legal thing that is interpreted even to this day. So what I want you to do is look at that. You can scroll through and read from the solo, but where do you think the narrator stands on this? This is a really cool thing we would have done in class where one half of the room will be insanity and the other part will be sane, and then we would kind of line up in a line. But with your finger right now, just point to where you think the narrator stands after you've read Telltale Heart Now a few times. Now, the next thing we need to do is, this was part of your solo. So you have paraphrasing this condition, meaning when we look at this, if you're insane, something happens. And if you are not insane, the other thing must happen. So it must be proven that when a crime was committed, the accused was mentally ill so as not to know the nature and quality of the act that he was doing. So murder is a very easy one to discuss here. If you kill someone, most people that are sane, everybody that is sane, will know that they were taking the life of another person. An insane person or a mentally ill person won't understand that. It'll be like, oh, they put that person to sleep, or they needed to be punished, so they got a timeout. Where that's not what's happening. When you kill someone, they are permanently gone. They're eliminated from the earth. And people know that when they do the act. They may want that for the other person. That's different. I'm not saying that the want and desire is coming into play. It's here is to know, like, if I kill this person, they will no longer be alive. Mentally ill might not quite think that. In this condition 2, if he did know it, that he did not know he was doing what was wrong. This is a really interesting one because this has to happen first for this to happen, okay? Because you can still know what you were doing and not think it was wrong. That's another part. And this one's a little bit more up in the air. This one's harder to prove or disprove when it comes to the court of law. How is that person actually thinking? How do we know what anybody's thinking? This is one of the big things I do for history class is I say, never assume what somebody was thinking. For instance, you might say the king thought that he was a great king. How do you know that? Nobody really knows what anybody is thinking besides yourself. There's no guarantee what anybody else is thinking. You can't stare at somebody and say, oh, I know exactly what they're thinking right now. You can hope to know what they're thinking, but it's impossible. So this is a very difficult part. Okay, so on card number 2 at the bottom, go ahead and click the second one here. Now what we're going to do is these following directions. So compare the paraphrases you wrote. Don't worry about that in case you haven't done it. But if these conditions are that must exist for someone to be judged legally insane, how would you summarize what conditions must be established for someone to be judged sane? Okay, so take a look at these. Don't worry about this stuff here. I don't know if it'll translate over if it's been able to. So if this must happen or this must happen for a person to be insane, then what must happen for a person to be sane? Okay. So you'll want to have 2 reasons, basically the opposite of these. So whatever it's saying here, if you do the opposite, that means that the person is sane. So the accused did understand what they were doing and that it was part of reality. That could be an example of being considered sane. Same thing for number 2. So establish the rules of what it might mean for someone to be considered sane, rational, normal, if you will. Okay, do that and then hand that in. Pause if you need to now. And what we're going to do is prepare some evidence. Okay, now, basically, after you've done that, we have these 2 ideas. Okay, here is insanity, and therefore, if you don't do those things, you're considered to be sane. So you should have wrote something like the accused understood what he was doing, and the accused knew that what he was doing was wrong. And he, for law purposes, is all people, not just males. So don't think that like girls get away with it, but he stands for he or a she. Okay, so we're going to reread paragraphs 12 and 13. They're right here. If you are having problems with it, go to the library. If that's still not working, remember you can just search up the PDF to get the Telltale Heart on Google, and you can go to paragraph 12 or 13. So we have to think, if you are arguing for legal insanity, so if you think the narrator was insane, you're going to explain how those details could show the narrator's conditions for legal insanity. So basically, you need to pick one side or the other based on this chart that we started with earlier. So if you were here, you're going to try to prove the narrator was insane. If you're here, you're going to try to prove that the narrator was of sound mind, was sane. Okay, so you need to pick one of those 2 things on card number 3, and then give evidence that shows your point. Okay, so again, if you're thinking he is insane, you'll need to find evidence that shows that for legal purposes. And if you think he was perfectly normal and just really evil, that's fine, because evil does not equal insane. Okay, there have been several evil people. They are not insane, they're just bad. That's not insanity. All right, when you're done with that, go ahead and click next. And then which argument have you asked? I'm not going to ask you. I'm going to let you pick. So are you arguing for legal insanity, or are you arguing for legal sanity? Whichever one you're doing, click on it, hand it in, and then go to that particular activity. So if you're thinking he's insane, you're going to card 4. If you think he's legally sane, you're going to card 5. Then, so whichever card you go to, you won't do both of these, only do one. All right. And what you're going to do is find 3 to 5 pieces of evidence that show your narrator is insane, or if you're on card 5, showing that they are sane. Choose the condition that this evidence suggests and paste the evidence into the appropriate column. Write 1 to 2 sentences that shows the piece of evidence that shows this condition. So basically, what you need to do here is go to the evidence in the story, copy it here, here, and here. If you find 3, if you find 4, if you need to add a row, that's fine. Then find some that go to, did he know what was doing was wrong? Okay, so basically what you're doing here is trying to find pieces of evidence that go into one of these 2 conditions. Okay, so for your last one that you did, you found some that show that he might have been insane. Now you're getting a little bit more specific. So whether it's insanity or being sane, paste them into there. When you're done, you'll go on to the second box. All right. So what evidence can we support that the narrator understands reality? Basically, you need to follow these. I can't really go over both of them. But when you're done, go ahead and hand that in. You don't need to do any writing on this one, but you need to follow the instructions here for what you're doing for insanity and for being sane. What you really need to worry about is number 6, okay? Card number 6 is huge. So what you'll be doing, it's not as a group, but what you're going to do is pick your most convincing piece of evidence and write your opening argument for a debate. You may begin your argument with the following statement or write your own. Okay, so if you want to, you can copy this, paste it in here, and start to write after that in your own words using the best piece of evidence. So your number 1 evidence that you found in the last couple of cards should be put into here, and act like you're in a courtroom. What you would say if you were talking for the first time to everybody. Okay, so you wouldn't use your worst, you wouldn't use your second best, you would use your absolute best to grab everybody's attention and have them agree with you right away. So basically you're defending the client or trying to prove that the client is insane or sane. Is he normal or is he crazy? Okay, that's what you're trying to prove here. Let's try to go for about 100 words here, especially if you copy and paste this, right? If you copy and paste that, you're already at 28 words. And then if you copied and paste something from the story, you're already at 50 words right there. So try to go for 100 words if you can with this opening statement. And that'll be the big thing that will go into your grade book. Okay, so all this other stuff will help you get there. But the big thing you really need to make sure you have done is card number 6. When you are done, you're going to work on the solo, which is basically working on another opening argument. If you want to, you can switch sides and try the other side of the argument. That might be kind of cool. And then you have some answering of multiple choice questions to complete as well. All right, so that's your solo for today. Basically, the big things you really want to do are the vocabulary and card number 6 and card number 8. The other ones, if you just jump into card 6, it'll be pretty difficult. So I do recommend going 3, 4, and 5 in there. It will help. But in terms of being graded, card 6 and card 8 will be the only 2 that get graded, as well as your vocab for the month. Okay, so that's it for today. This is going to be another lecture. Tomorrow will be a little bit shorter with no red ink, but get your work done and contact me with any questions. All right, Mr. Sanchez signing off for today. See you on Wednesday.